In this guide, we'll introduce you to the ULTIMA Chain Blockchain's Block Explorer, a website where you can find all the essential information about the ULTIMA Chain blockchain. Let's start by clarifying what a Block Explorer is. A Block Explorer is a website for visualizing blocks, transaction histories, and blockchain metrics. Each network has its own Explorer. You can't use the same Explorer for Bitcoin and Ethereum simultaneously. Instead, they each have separate websites. ULTIMA Chain Blockchain has its own Block Explorer, ULTIMA Explorer, located at ultimachain.info. You can compare an Explorer to a search engine, except it provides information specifically within a given blockchain rather than the entire internet. Why Block Explorers are needed: to verify the safety of assets in a wallet without actually logging in, just by checking current transaction information. To obtain general data about network activity, such as the number of transactions or accounts. To calculate transaction costs in the network. You can check whether a payment was sent, whether assets arrived at a given wallet, and how much the transaction cost. To track the activity of certain wallets. This is useful for analyzing the actions of whales or exchanges. Analysts and journalists often use this feature. Miners can verify the successful creation of a block. Now let's begin our review of the ULTIMA Chain Blockchain Block Explorer. Look at the main page. On the main page, you'll see the Block Explorer, divided into two columns. The first column lists blocks, and the second column lists transactions. At the top of the screen, you'll find these widgets. Total accounts, the total number of accounts in the network. Total transactions, the total number of transactions that have occurred in the network. ULTIMA staked, how many ULTIMA coins are currently staked. In the blocks column, you can view the most recent blocks, which are generated in real time on the blockchain. The first digit shows the height of the block, or its number. If you click on a block, more detailed information about that block will appear. The longest combination of letters and numbers is the generated block. You can copy it, paste it into the address bar, and find information about it. Let's discuss what you can find out about a transaction via the Explorer. On the main page, you'll also see a list of transactions. In the Transactions section, open any transaction in the Explorer by simply clicking on the generated block. A page will open showing detailed information about the transaction, from the sender's address to the recipient's address, amount, the transaction amount, consume bandwidth, how much bandwidth the transaction consumed. Consume bandwidth displays how much bandwidth was used for the transaction. It also shows how much ULTIMA was burned to obtain that bandwidth. In this example, we see that no ULTIMA coins were burned. Burn 0 ULTIMA for bandwidth. Keep in mind that each user receives 1,500 free bandwidth points daily. To get more, you must stake ULTIMA coins. Consume energy shows how much energy was used for the transaction. Similar to bandwidth, it also indicates how many ULTIMA coins were spent to obtain that amount of energy. Let's move on to the governance section. This part will help us understand how the delegated proof-of-stake consensus algorithm works in the ULTIMA Chain blockchain. The first tab in this section is called Super Representatives. In the ULTIMA Chain blockchain, there are 27 super representatives. They handle the creation of new blocks, generating one every 3 seconds and receiving a reward for it. Super representatives operate simultaneously. The system distributes the block creation among these 27 accounts in such a way that each one contributes equally to forming the network. Specifically, as soon as the first account generates a block, it's removed from the list of accounts participating in block creation. This continues until all 27 accounts have created a new block. The real-time block distribution widget shows which super representative has closed a block most recently. To become a super representative, an account, i.e. a wallet, must create its own node and pay 0.01 ULTIMA. After that, the system assigns it the status of a candidate for super representative. Scrolling down the page, you'll see a list of the current super representatives. Let's look more closely at the table. At the top of the table, you'll notice tabs labeled SR Partners and SR Candidates. These are other network participants, alongside the super representatives, SR partners. A partner super representative does not participate in forming blocks. They don't build the network, but still receive rewards for the votes. SR candidates. There can be a total of 127 candidates in the network. Any account can apply for candidate status. Later, after voting, that account can become a partner or a super representative. The votes section and the voting system in the ULTIMA chain blockchain. The delegated proof-of-stake consensus algorithm is built on voting. Candidates for super representative, as well as the super representatives themselves, are chosen through this voting process. People vote for the super representatives and for the super representative candidates who will mine blocks on our network. Voting takes place every 6 hours in the network. This means that every 6 hours, the list of super representatives can change. The countdown to the next voting round is shown in the next round widget. The real-time total votes this round widget indicates how many votes in total have been cast during the current round. Below the widgets, you can see who voted for whom, the percentage distribution of the votes, and which account has received the most votes. The last tab in the governance section is called Parameters and Proposals. Every super representative, partner super representative, and candidate super representative has the right to put forward proposals. Only super representatives can vote on these proposals. If at least 18 SRs vote for a proposal, it's applied to the network parameters in the next blockchain maintenance period. This is another advantage of delegated proof-of-stake. Network participants can not only mine blocks, but also introduce constructive changes to the network parameters by submitting proposals. Now let's proceed to the data section. This section holds information about ULTIMA staking. In the real-time updated table, you can find the settlement date, UTC. How many ULTIMA coins were staked each day? ULTIMA staked. How many were staked in staking 1.0 and staking 2.0? How many were staked for energy? Staked for energy. How many were staked for bandwidth? Staked for bandwidth. So we've described the ULTIMA chain blockchain block explorer in this article. We hope that after studying this material, you'll have no unanswered questions about how it works. If any questions do arise, our support specialists will be happy to help.